Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. The movie I want to talk about today comes from 1954. This is Sabrina, and stars Humphrey Bogart, Audrey Hepburn, William Holden, written and directed by Billy Wilder. And this is one of Billy Wilder's funniest films, in my opinion. This is very much Wilder back in his Lubitsch influenced movie, and it's very much a Lubitsch influenced movie, sort of a combination of comedy, drama, mostly comedy here. And this is a Cinderella story, and Audrey Hepburn is the Cinderella character. Nobody's more suited to play Cinderella, I think, than Audrey Hepburn. She is the daughter of a chauffeur to a immensely wealthy family called the Larrabees. They have two sons. Linus, the older son, is basically running this whole chain of businesses. And then David, the younger son. Linus played by Humphrey Bogart and David played by William Holden. And Sabrina has grown up on the Larrabee estate with a crush on David. And who barely notices that she exists when she was a teenager. They actually had played together when they were smaller, but David has grown up to be a very wealthy playboy, and so the Larrabees have magnificent dances and parties, and Sabrina looks from afar, but then she is sent off to Paris for 2 years to become a cook. And her return, she's just spectacular. She has changed from an ugly, Audrey Hepburn was not ugly, but from a duckling to a swan, mostly due to it's implied, as we've never shown exactly how well dressed she is and how elegant she is on her return to the U.S., but Marcel Dalio, unrecognizable to me at least, plays a baron who is taking a sort of refresher course on how to make souffle. It takes her under his wing. This is Dalio's in Casablanca and the rules of the game. But anyways, when Sabrina returns, she's at the train station waiting to be picked up by her father, and he's late. And David drives by in a sports car, sees a beautiful woman, of course, makes a quick U-turn to go and pick her up, but he doesn't even recognize her. She's so elegant, elegantly dressed, and she has a French poodle. And so a big joke ensues when he finds out that this is Sabrina all grown up, and of course he falls desperately in love with her right off the bat, snag being that David is part of an arranged marriage. He's already been married 3 times. They have been flings that his family disapproved of, but this is going to be a merger marriage. This is a capitalist marriage. This is an arranged marriage so that one of the Larrabee companies can merge with another company that they badly need to maximize their profits. So David has a fiancée, played by Martha Heyer, but he doesn't love her. He doesn't really want to marry her. And now here's Sabrina, and that's who he wants. There's a lot of gags here with props, cocktail glasses, the Hamburg hats, the smelling salts. Wilder milks these props for all they're worth, and David gets injured, and he very comically, and so Linus, who doesn't want David to marry, doesn't want to end this merger possibility. So he starts to woo Sabrina himself, but what are his motives? So this is very much a movie about class, the servant class. We see the servant class often. They actually cheer outside of Sabrina's father. They cheer on Sabrina. It's romantic aspirations with David. And very much a critique, as Wilder often did, a critique of capitalism, the coldness of it, the dark side of it. Although the Larrabees, Linus and David, they're relatively benign in some of the in comparison to some of the other critiques of capitalism that Wilder um, often depicted. The stars here, William Holden coming off his Best Actor award for Stalag 17 with Billy Wilder, and a big, huge success in Sunset Boulevard a couple of years before that. He's blonde here. I've never seen him before or after being a blonde. He's having a ball in this part. He is very funny. You can see he just is a perfect Billy Wilder actor. He can do the comedy, he can do the drama, and here he's just he's just full of laughs. This is a movie I think that'll make you laugh out loud even today, 72 years later. Now Bogart, on the other hand, playing Linus, the older brother, he's probably, this is where the film might sag a little bit. This is a part that was written for Cary Grant, and Grant would have been, I think, great in this part. But Grant, at the last minute, he bowed out. He didn't want to wear the Hamburg. This is another prop that Wilder uses for comic, for all the comedy he can get out of it. The straw hat, the Hamburg defines the differences between Linus and David. And so Bogart stepped in, and Bogart was 30 years older than Audrey Hepburn, and he doesn't look happy in this film. He didn't. He knew he was playing second fiddle to Cary Grant. He didn't like the script. I don't know how he could not like the script. Audrey Hepburn wanted too many takes. He was very unpleasant with Wilder. Some people think he's giving, some Bogey fans think he's giving a good performance, showing his range. I just don't see it. I don't see the chemistry between Bogart and Hepburn. And like I say, the film does sag. And I always thought that in the very early days. I probably saw this film as a teenager quite a few times, and I loved it as a teenager, still do. I always thought Bogart just, this doesn't make much sense. But it's there, and it's offset by so many great supporting performances here. I won't name them all, but John Williams playing Sabrina's father, and he's disapproving of this romance. The other servers may like it, but he's disapproving of this romance with now not just one, but now two of the Larrabee sons. And John Williams from Dial M for Murder, I think pretty much the same era for Hitchcock. But I got to mention, there's quite a few others. I won't mention them all, but Ellen Corby, Grandma Walton, in the Waltons, she just steals every scene she's in as Linus's secretary. And she has a great gag at the end of the movie with smelling salts. It is absolutely hilarious. The final scene, the board meeting when all the secrets are being revealed, and Linus tells the secretary, Ellen Corby, you better have smelling salts on it. And so as far as Hepburn goes with these older actors, Cary Grant, obviously much older than her as well. She's in her mid-20s, I think, in the time of Sabrina. This is her second role after Roman Holiday, where she was a sensation. Audrey Hepburn was indeed a phenomenon in the 1950s. She played a princess. She looked in Roman Holiday. She won the Academy Award. She didn't receive it until right after the filming of Sabrina had been completed. So Holden won for Stalag 17. Bogart had won for The African Queen. And then by the time the film was released, you got three recent Academy Award winners in one movie. And Hepburn, this problem of age, I think your next film was with Henry Fonda, much too old. Probably the worst of it was Love in the Afternoon with Gary Cooper for Billy Wilder. I think he was even more than 30 years older than Hepburn and Rex Harrison and My Fair Lady. But Hepburn is so enthusiastic in her performances, and her diction, it's almost poetic, and she looks so much like a like a princess, and she was a fashion model. And this comes into play uh, in this film. She has a pixie haircut that became the rage in the 1950s. Hoop earrings became the rage in the 1950s, and the fashion. She just looks fantastic in this film. There's three major costumes, dresses that were designed for her by Da Vinci in Paris when he was just starting out. Sabrina was nominated for many Academy Awards and only won one for costumes. Edith Head won for costumes. And in her acceptance speech, she never mentions that three of these designs were by Da Vinci, who then costumes Audrey Hepburn in all her films. And she looks spectacular in these gowns. When she enters, when she comes back from Paris, there's a big, there's a very big party given so that to celebrate this union, this marriage that's designed, for business purposes. And I mean, it's just a beautifully filmed scene, and Audrey Hepburn enters into it with this fantastic costume on. She looks absolutely gorgeous, and she's a showstopper. Everything, and no one can believe, the family can't believe that this is Sabrina. So, and for Billy Wilder, this was a movie. He has a darkness to his films, and certainly we see it in Sunset Boulevard and Stalag 17. Even though those were successes, in the case of Sunset Boulevard, big successes. But also, he made Ace in the Hole. Ace in the Hole was a big flop, and it really, Wilder had, it really made Wilder his confidence level really suffered from the poor reception of Ace in the Hole. It was just too dark a movie for American audiences in the 1950s. We had won the war, at least in the American mind. We had won the war, and there was prosperity. Everybody felt like they had a stake in society. You didn't have this huge wealth disparity like we have today. It was very narrow. And so, obviously there were problems in America, including the Civil Rights Movement, but by and large, Americans felt pretty good about their society. Of course, this would all change in the 1960s. And by today, of course, Ace in the Hole nowadays is seen as a classic movie. The American character, which was very much meant a great deal, that the American character was something good. Nowadays, we have to wonder how good the American character really is, and also the power of the media to create false narratives that people are eager to latch onto. It comes out of Ace in the Hole, but the darkness is always there in Wilder. As I say, in The Apartment, this is the pinnacle of this Lubitsch touch, the combination of drama and comedy. Wilder had written scripts for Lubitsch, who was his idol, and for like Ninotchka, and scripts for Mitchell Leisen, like Midnight, and Sabrina's sort of in that realm. That's the realm that Wilder is in here. And after The Apartment, the darkness started to come in. We have the critique of capitalism, the darkness of capitalism, and crazy comedy 1, 2, 3, Kiss Me Deadly. It's just unbelievable how dark that comedy is. I'm very fond of the movie, but it too was not a success. And Wilder didn't really have too many successes after that. But the 1950s, unbelievable. Sunset Boulevard to The Apartment. They're not all great films, but Wilder was obviously in a great creative fervor during that period of time. There's two commentaries. This is a 4K from Kino, a company if you like commentaries, Kino almost always gives you a commentary. They give you two here. One is with Julie Kurgo and Peter Hancock. This is, I was disappointed in this one, this commentary, because it's very chatty and it's more, they're the two commentators talking to each other rather than to the audience. They go far afield from the movie. It's jokey, in which the joke is probably funnier for the two commentators than it is for us. But then there's a second commentary with Joseph McBride, who's written a book about Billy Wilder's life and his career, and knew Billy Wilder. This is fantastic, as you would expect from Joseph McBride. He gives great commentary. And so if you listen, I would highly recommend the McBride commentary if you only want to listen to one commentary. So a movie I've always loved, Sabrina, with the great performances, I think, comic performances from William Holden and Audrey Hepburn. Here's the slip cover, and I guess this is modern art. I love this slip cover with the two dogs representing Linus and David, and a beautiful Audrey Hepburn in her Da Vinci gown. So next up on the channel, tentatively, will be Port of Shadows from 1936, a French film starring Jean Gabin. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.